We know that entrepreneurs are resilient by nature, and 2020 definitely tested them to the extreme. What opportunities could there be in 2021 to start building businesses, turning things around? Let's bring in Arlene Dickinson, part of our Future of series. She's the president and CEO of Venture Communications, and let's talk about the opportunity for entrepreneurs. Obviously, we've seen a lot of change in a pretty short amount of time. How do we make a success out of this story in 2021?
Yeah, there has been a lot of change. I mean, we have to really be thinking about what can we leverage now and from what we've learned. And I think Canada is well positioned to take advantage of the need that the globe has relative to food and to taking care of people's health. We are experts in agriculture and we're experts in health.
Okay, so obviously the big shift that we saw this year was toward digital. I mean, governments told us, stay in your house, only go out for the essentials, but we still wanted to, take part in the economy. It's not as everyone just says, well, just go online, just go online. It's not as easily done as it is said, is it?
No, it isn't. I mean, especially if you're a small business owner and you're having to transition to digital. I mean, there's one thing for us as consumers to use digital platforms to be able to buy things from, but it's another thing for small businesses who are perhaps caught flat-footed in terms of not having a great digital presence when the pandemic struck, and now trying to keep up with that is a very difficult thing. I mean, it's not inexpensive, although it's not hugely expensive. It also requires time and resources and the ability to use data properly so that you can make sure that your business is found online.
Now, when we think about the support network we would have within our own country, I mean, obviously, over the past several decades, it's become a globalized world in the sense that goods are coming from all over the place. We're doing business all over the planet, and this has been beneficial overall. And then the pandemic really started to turn things on its head. What do Canadian business leaders, perhaps the ones who have made a great success of it and are further along in their career, need to think about in terms of helping the next generation of Canadian business leaders?
Listen, I think coming out of this pandemic, people are going to need to have a healthy dose of optimism from its leadership. Like, leaders have got to now help people see what the future can look like. It's not going to be enough that we just got through it. Now we have to think about how we can actually grow into the future. And that means risk taking. That means leadership that's going to actually help people understand and innovate. That means people and leaders who are actually going to incentivize people to think differently and to act differently. There are many moving parts to how leaders are going to be able to help entrepreneurs and the citizens at large feel comfortable enough and secure enough and safe enough to be able to take the risks necessary to grow our economy again.
Yeah, that key word, taking that risk, right? And this is what the entrepreneurial spirit is all about. And we can understand the blow of 2020, having people sit on cash. When we talked to CIBC, Benjamin Tal, they're saying, by his estimates, businesses could be sitting on anywhere of 70, 80, $90 billion worth of cash. This will be important to deploy in terms of growing business, but I can understand the hesitation. Is there a role for government to say, we're going to set some ground rules here, a playing field where you're going to want to take that risk?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we do need incentives to take risk. I mean, we can't just, right now people have collected cash or are sitting on cash if they can because they aren't sure about the future. They are uncertain about what's going to happen next, and they're trying to preserve their capital. But in order for us to come out of this, we have to actually invest our capital. And to your point, if people are sitting on cash and not using it to actually help the economy grow again, that's not going to be good for anybody. So I think the government has to incentivize people to want to invest again. I mean, this is something entrepreneurs in Canada are very good at, though. We have grit, determination. We're prepared to take risk. We want to get out there and do things. We just need the policies that are out there made to the point where we can actually take that risk without being penalized in some way for doing so.
I mean, the one thing that always jumps to mind when you talk about government policy would be taxes and corporate taxes. It seems unlikely, given how deep in the hole governments have had to go to fight the pandemic, that they'd want to cut off any revenue. But I'm always reminded by business leaders that it's not just about the tax structure. There's a lot of other things government can do to get things moving again. What do you think some of the most important things are?
Listen, I think programs in terms of talking about, digital programs that help companies, get up to speed in the digital economy, sharing of data, making sure that data is accessible to entrepreneurs and to businesses. These are things that can actually help businesses outperform other competitors and also help us be more competitive on a global scale. And certainly having the opportunity and the capital investment that can come to helping growth happen with entrepreneurs. So if companies and businesses need growth capital, then government can help deploy that and help encourage that.
Now, when it comes to something that we have seen, I would assume by your backdrop that you are in your home. I put a fancy TV behind me to disguise the fact that I'm in my home. This is a huge change in terms of how business is being conducted. This would seem to be a real challenge if you're starting a new business. I mean, BNN Bloomberg pivoted. We figured out how to do this from home. You pivoted. But if you're trying to get something off the ground, these are very challenging times.
They are, but they also aren't. I mean, the good news is that because of technology, you can start a business from your home. You can get inventory from your home. You can actually now transact, from a wholesale perspective and a retail perspective, all because of technology. So in some cases, it's actually easier to start a small business from your home than it ever has been before. Now, that doesn't mean that you have access to capital the way you need it. And it doesn't mean that you're going to have the access to being able to find the resources you need. But people are easier to acquire in terms of talent. You can get talent from anywhere around the world now. You can actually have people and have a remote workforce that you never could have before. So I actually think the times are really good for entrepreneurs to start businesses from their homes right now.
All right, so this seems to suggest that there will be a new generation of entrepreneurs. There always is. They are more comfortable with technology than people before them have been. A real opportunity to not only change the way things are in the short and near term, but do you even see longer term change? A lot of these different trends as they take hold persisting. It just won't simply fade away. A lot of people you talk to, they say, oh, we're going to go back to normal at some point. But a lot of people say, no, there are changes here that are going to take root and they're not going to let go easy.
Yeah, I mean, what's interesting to me is that we see things as so binary. It's either you're going to be home or you're going to be at work. I think the key word is flexibility and finding that happy medium that actually suits individuals and their lifestyles. So, being able to work sometimes at an office, sometimes at home, or for people who need to work full time at an office because they need to be surrounded by other people and that's where they thrive and do better, or people who need to work home because they have other issues that they have to take care of from their home. I mean, I think this notion that we all are going to behave the same is what exactly not the new normal is going to be. The new normal is going to be, let's be flexible. Let's cater to people's individualized needs while still ensuring that the business gets its needs taken care of. And that requires a different type of leadership and a different type of direction for companies to take. They have to think about their workforce differently.
And thinking about that workforce in terms of the fact, and even in themselves as business leaders, about the fact that we've had to change our lives pretty dramatically, and it does have an impact on our physical health. I mean, I did an hour walking alone just to get back and forth to the office. That's tied into your mental health. I mean, these seem to be key concerns that we can't gloss over either.
No, I 100% agree with you. I mean, for me, I don't know. I know I'm really lucky. I happen to have a Peloton and I'm really lucky that I have that. But without it, I don't know how I would have actually gone through the year because exercise really has helped my mental health be much stronger than it would have been normally. I know that I suffer from, I have anxiety attacks. I have some, challenges with that. And so exercise has really saved me. And to your point about walking, I went outside and walked for an hour today just to clear my head and to get some fresh air. And yes, it's critical that we think about our mental health. And I think right now there are many people who are struggling with it. And thankfully, there are resources to help that. But, people do need to make sure they're reaching out for the help that they need, especially now.
Yeah, I'm a walker too. The body needs to move. There's a little bit of ice on the ground, not quite as easy to walk as it was in the summer and the fall, but it's a good way. Arlene, it's always a pleasure to talk to you and look forward to catching up with you in the new year.
Yeah, thanks so much. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you too. Arlene Dickinson, President and CEO of Venture Communications.